How to go from a trading noob to your first payout. Hello everyone, my name is Tay. I'm a 21-year-old profitable day trader, and I've been trading since I was 18, so I have about 3 years of market experience. So I've been able to consistently get payouts month after month ever since like 6-7 months ago, not even trolling. Actually longer than that, since the end of last year. And I think I been consistent enough to where I know a thing or two that I could help out newer traders in that sense. So yeah. So before you even get into trading, you need to think about what your why is. And so by your why, I mean, what are the main reasons you're getting into trading? So, for example, one of the main reasons why I got into trading was because I didn't really resonate with anything in school, but I still wanted to make a boatload of money. And I also saw how my parents would wake up super early every day and go to work to be able to put a roof over our heads, provide food for the family. And seeing them wake up so early, so tired, and knowing they don't even want to be there only motivates me more to make even more money, to be able to help them out, eventually retire them as well, which is what I'm currently working on. And so the reason why I'm telling you you should know your why is because if your main motivation for trading is because you want a nice car, because you want a nice house, like that's fine. But make sure whatever reason you're getting into it is enough to keep you going even through all the bad times. Because trust me, there are going to be bad times that are going to make you want to quit, literally on the spot, quit and give up and never look back at it ever again. So having a strong why will keep you going no matter how hard things get, so that eventually you will get to that point where you will actually start making good money from trading. So now actually getting into the trading part. Where do I recommend learning stuff? So originally I started with Forex. So I learned through Baby Pips, which is a website. And on Baby Pips, there's literally pages just telling you what a candlestick is, what price is, like just how the market works, and how to read a chart. Literally those actual fundamentals. And so if you're like know absolutely nothing about it, I would recommend starting there. Or if you want to get into the future side, everyone recommends this, but I would go with the TGR Bootcamp. He's a YouTuber that has a playlist full of videos teaching the fundamentals of day trading, how to read the chart, and he actually eventually gives you one of his own strategies to use and eventually become profitable with. So these two are some really good resources to start. So now, after learning the actual fundamentals of the chart, maybe some ICT terminology, that's when I would actually try and find a strategy. So, like I said, you could go with TGR's Bootcamp strategy. I'm pretty sure it's like a liquidity sweep, break of structure, retrace into a fair value gap, order block, whatever. Like all those terms you'll understand if you watch that bootcamp, but that's his strategy. There's also ICT, which a lot of people end up, he's also a YouTuber that like a lot of people follow, where he has a ton of strategies, and like basically everyone that I know on the day trading space like gets their strategies from him. And then there's also paid mentorships that you can find through YouTube or TikTok. So the ones off the top of my head were Powell, Salmon, PB Trades, and Cole. So I'm not too sure. I hear good things about Powell's course, PB's course, and Cole's course. But me personally, I was in Salmon's course, and me being in that course was actually the tipping point that got me profitable. So if you are looking for a mentorship and you're willing to pay for one, I'd recommend Salmon because I have personal experience being in that Discord, and it's actually very good. So after you find a profitable strategy that you know works for you, this is where you will want to backtest. So backtesting will actually help you find out if a strategy is for you. Like if you pick a strategy, you go and backtest it and you realize it's not for you, all right, go into the next strategy. Eventually find something that preferably is simple, something that's easy to understand. And so after you find that strategy, me personally, I use FX Replay, which is a backtesting software. And essentially, if you don't know what backtesting is, it's when you go back into the previous price history and then you trade it as if you were trading it real time. And so essentially this allows you to test out your strategy, get data on it, and see if, and essentially get practice with that strategy. And so back then, when I was still unprofitable, a lot of people say like less is more with trading, which is definitely true. Like day to day, less is more. Like me personally, I take one trade a day, and then after that, I'm done. I'm off the charts. That's it. But when it comes to backtesting, I think that the more you put in, the more you get out, because you want to maximize getting as much market experience as possible so that like you'll be ready for when you actually start trading live. And so back when I was still unprofitable, I would get home from school and then I would literally just hop on FX Replay and backtest for like 4 to 8 hours and then go to bed, sleep, and repeat. So like you need to be obsessed with this shit. Like you just need to put in so much work that it's like you genuinely cannot fail because of how much work you put in. So I would recommend backtesting as much as possible. Just trying to get in as much experience as possible, as quick as possible. And then yeah, just get in as many reps, because it's like going to the gym. It's like just put in as much time as you can. Consistently show up every day. And just keep practicing. So, another thing that comes with being a profitable trader is getting consistent income, aka get a job. So while you're unprofitable, it's going to take money to learn. For example, like the FX Replay, it's like a $35 monthly subscription. And then even when it comes to like buying prop firm combines, for example, you're going to need money to pay for those. And if you don't have money coming in, you'll be stuck and you can't progress. And so having consistent income coming in will keep you afloat. It'll mentally keep you in a good state. So it's like you don't have this scarce mindset when it comes to trading, because you know you'll keep having money coming in. So even if you lose, it's okay because you have money coming in. So me personally, I actually used to work full-time at McDonald's, and I quit like June of this year, and I worked there for like 2.5 years. And so I worked full-time at McDonald's, and I used my paychecks to fund my trading, whether that's paying for the backtesting software, like paying for Top Step combines to just try and get funded. And so just having money coming in will keep you mentally level-headed, especially during especially while you're learning, or especially during months where you're not winning as much as you'd like. So after practicing with bat testing, getting monthly consistent income in, I would recommend starting with prop firms. So there's 4 that come to my mind, which are Top Step, My Funded Futures, Take Profit Trader, and Apex. So me personally, I recommend Top Step because that's the one I use. If you're like low on cash and you don't have as much money for activation fees and stuff like that, then I would go with My Funded Futures because their prop firm is like the cheapest way to get an account. So essentially, you're going to pay money to take an evaluation from these prop firms. So for example, if you were to buy a $50,000 Top Step account, it would cost you $49, which is why I was saying to get a job so you can pay for this stuff. And so in that evaluation, your goal is to hit a profit target of $53,000, so essentially make $3K. And your maximum drawdown is $2K. So if you hit the maximum drawdown of minus $2K, you will fail the evaluation and you'll have to pay for a new one to reset it. And if you pass it by hitting the profit target, you'll have to pay an activation fee of like $149. But then that's when you get funded. And then that's when you're actually able to like actually get payouts is from the funded stage. And so the key to passing an evaluation is risk management. So you're going to learn about this in TGR's videos. You're going to learn about this in, honestly, a lot of videos. Trading videos talk about risk management, which is essentially being able to control how much money you're winning or losing so that in the long term, you end up making more money than losing. So personally, what I do to pass an eval is, depending on how volatile the day is, I'll change my size accordingly from 10 to 15 micros. And essentially, your goal is to, when you lose, you're losing less money than when you win. So you want to win more money when you win than when you lose. So the reason for this is because anytime you take a loss, it's okay because your winners should essentially cover your losses because your winners will be bigger than your losses. So eventually you will end up hitting the $53,000 profit target, assuming your strategy is profitable and assuming you're not doing anything dumb like over trading or over leveraging, stuff like that. So, and now actually getting a payout. So this is when you're in the funded stage, you pass the eval stage, you paid the activation fee, and now you're on the funded stage. So I don't know how other prop firms work, so I'll talk about Top Step itself. So over Top Step, for a 50K account, for example, you would need 5 winning days of $150. So it doesn't have to be consecutive. You just need 5 separate winning days of $150 in profit at least. But your maximum drawdown is still 2K. So even if you go up to like 52K, for example, it trails that drawdown until it reaches so once you hit 52K, it like trails up with it until you hit 52K and then it stops right there. So the max you always have to lose is 2K. So even if you go from like 52K to 50K, your count's blown. So be careful. This is why risk management is so important, because like you want to be able to let your strategy, your probabilities play out. And so if you risk too much or if you overtrade and you go on tilt, it's very easy to blow these accounts. So in my very first payout, I actually got a payout of 5K. And here's the risk management that I used to actually get it. So each trade that I was taking, I'd risk 5 to 7 micros, depending on how volatile the day is. So let's say like price is just moving mad points. I'm only going to trade 5 micros because I want to keep my risk intact, and I don't want to be losing too much money in a single day. And if it's a very slow day, points aren't that volatile, I'm going to be using 7 micros. And so, according to my strategy, or the one that I got from Salman, I'm risking about 15 to 30 points for my stop loss, and I'm targeting about 15 to 50. So notice how I'm targeting more points for my take profit than I am for my stop loss. This is because as long as I'm making more than I'm losing, and I let the probabilities play out, I'm eventually going to be making more than I'm losing over a long period of time, because that's just how the probabilities play out. So make sure you're not going on tilt. There's going to be a lot of psychological traps that you'll fall into as a trader. For example, like revenge trading. You'll lose money on the day and then you'll feel like you'll want to make it back. So then you try and trade more to make it back, but then you'll eventually lose even more money. Or over trading, placing too many trades in a day. Like, just get off the charts. There's also over leveraging. You're leveraging too much. This is why the risk management part is so important. You don't want to over leverage and like blow your account in a single trade because you oversize too much. You want to keep that all under control. And you'll learn more over time as like for like how much is a good amount to risk. Like right now, when I trade my fundeds, I'll trade around 10 to 15 micros, which is more than I traded when I got my first payout. Because over time, you're going to like eventually want to risk more and size up more because you'll be able to differentiate the good setups from the bad ones. So yeah, that was essentially how I got to my first payout, and that's how I recommend you guys getting to your first payout. So hope you learned something. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll try and answer it. See ya.